Greetings and salutations. My name is Michael Schwahn and welcome to the channel. I have another guide for you for Escape from Tarkov today, and today we are going to be focusing on the crafting skill. Now, this is something that I will say that if you want to pay attention to it, you can. There are benefits to be found if you do put time and focus on it, but it's definitely not something that you need to excel, make money, or progress in Escape from Tarkov. It can help with all of those things, but it's not needed in any form or fashion. But let's go ahead and talk about what it does, okay? So crafting, anything that you craft in your hideout, it gives you crafting experience. What does getting your crafting skill up do? The two main things that it does is that it'll give you a shorter crafting time, so your crafts will happen faster, as well as a shorter production time for your cyclic productions, which there's really only one of those right now, which is your water collector. It'll make those produce faster, so you'll be able to get like purified waters faster. It doesn't affect the Bitcoin farm right now. We don't have any other hideout modules that it actually affects. So that shorter crafting time is the main benefit that you'll start to see as you start to level it up. Now, each of the skills in Escape from Tarkov does have an elite bonus. When you get them to level 51, you get something extra. So what do you get when you get 4,550 XP points in crafting to make it elite? The elite bonus is that you are now able to produce 2 items in the same module. So currently where you're at, unless you already have elite crafting, is you'll be able to craft one thing. You got to wait for that to be done. Then you can craft the next thing. If you get to elite crafting, you will be able to craft 2 different items at the same time in each of your module. A good example of this is in the Workbench. One of the things that people make the most, even if they're not focusing on crafting skill, is in the Workbench, they'll be making bullets. And so you'll want those high-end meta armor-piercing, high-damage ammunition, and so you'll be crafting ammunition in your hideout at your Workbench, and you'll be like, okay, well, I want to, run a 9mm vector, so I'll craft some AP 6.3 or PBP, or I want to run some more AK, so I'll craft some 7.62 BP. You can now craft both of those at the same time. Or if you're someone who wants to try to save money or increase profit to where you like craft the gunpowders and then craft the ammunition, you could be doing 2 gunpowders at the same time as long as it's 2 different gunpowders. Or you could be doing like crafting a gunpowder and some bullets and then resetting the gunpowder while the bullets are still cranking their way out. So that's the big benefit. Now, by the time you get there, you're probably pretty far along in your Escape from Tarkov journey, but it does just mean that you have that much more accessible to you, and it also means that you'll be crafting things as fast as possible at that point, since you will have capped out the benefit of that reduction in crafting time. Okay, so how do we gain crafting XP? So there is a few different ways, but really it's just by crafting, but what you get is different based on what you're doing. So to break it down, you get 1 point of crafting XP per hour. No, what I was about to say is wrong. So I'm in the middle of editing this right now, and I was about to say that you gain 1 point of crafting XP for each hour that you're crafting, and that is woefully incorrect, because as I was grabbing assets to put in this neat little box here, it's 1 point per 8 hours, which I don't know how many other things in this video I'm going to say that's going to be that level of wrong, but that's a really big level of wrong, so I thought I better come in here and correct myself early, and I'll just put like an asterisk or something on the rest of the video. The information is still pertinent, just the amount of XP you're going to be getting from the actual time crafts and not the amount of completed crafts is going to be wildly different, and I'm not sure how many times I reference numbers in this video at this point in time, because I recorded it a week ago and I'm editing it now, and so yeah, we're gonna go on this journey together. I do know that the vast majority of everything else in here is correct. I just had that little snippet of information wrong. I thought I better correct myself. Okay, back to whatever I was gonna say. Bye. You also get 1 point of crafting XP each time you finish a craft. So at the end of that 18-hour grenade case, you'll hit 18 points across those 18 hours, and then 1 point when you actually finish and collect the item. Now, a couple things on that though. Crafting the same thing means that you will get no crafting XP, and I mean 0, none. It's not reduced, you get nothing if you are just spam crafting the same exact thing, which means that if you like just really need a whole bunch of green gunpowder, If you want to do that, you can, but you won't be getting crafting XP for it. And it also doesn't even give you the crafting XP for the time spent crafting. It's just zero gain if you're crafting the same item after itself. A couple other things is that when you are going after crafting XP, your power should always be on. You need to be spam running your generator. So because when you are doing this, you can craft things without the generator on, but it takes significantly longer, and that doesn't give you more crafting XP. The crafting XP that you gain is based off the base time of the craft. So if you start a grenade case and then turn the power off, it's like, it's gonna take a week. You don't get a week's worth of crafting XP. They've factored that in. So you want to keep the power ons for actually achieving efficiency on your crafts, to actually gain your crafting skill points, and it also will help level up your hideout management skill. So it's just good to keep your power on as long as you've managed to have the type of income or revenue or know how to make enough money in Tarkov that you can afford the fuel to keep your generator running. One other bonus note about crafting is that as you get higher level in crafting XP, this is one of the only skills that levels up faster. Because of that whole idea of you gain a crafting XP skill point every time you finish a craft. But as you get higher level, crafts take less amount of time, which means that as you get higher level, you are able to get more experience faster because your crafts are completing quicker. It's wrong, but also not. Like, I don't know. I'm not sure how I feel about it, but that's the way that it works. Okay, so there's multiple different approaches to crafting XP. The first of which I'm going to just call like the burn it out method, which, money be damned, I want my XP as fast as possible. What this means is that you're going to be burning through money, probably not making a profit, taking losses, but you will be generating crafting XP faster than any other method. This is strictly for just if you want the crafting level maxed out as soon as you can. I'll get points eventually, where's my profit? I will be talking about what crafts you can actually make money on. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean they're going to be best for crafting XP, but some people, they want to use their hideout to supplement their gameplay, whether it's through crafting their own ammunition or making money so they can build the guns they want or buy some armor. And then we're going to talk about the somewhere in between. This is what, like, the efficiency for both directions. This is currently where I sit, where, like, I don't want to lose a shitload of money. I would like to make money, but I still want to be trying to maximize the amount of crafting XP. I think this is the healthiest option because it does mean you'll continue to see actual amounts of growth in your crafting skill while still finding balance within like what you're getting and if you are interested in making money out of your hideout. Now, when we're going through this, I am going to be basing everything off of you being at least level 20. In the current wipe, when I'm recording this, you have to be level 20 to access the flea market, and having access to the flea market is really necessary for being able to quickly and efficiently do crafting. That way you don't have to run into raids and go looking for a pair of pliers just so you can craft something. It's fun to do that, and I do enjoy that about the early wipe experience, but when we're talking about a guide to leveling up crafting, that's not what we want to be doing. So, and also when you hit level 20, you can get level 2 on all of your modules. And the vast majority of crafts we'll be talking about will be accessible at level 2 or lower modules. And that includes the Workbench. There will be a couple of decent crafts that I will point out that require level 3 modules, but some of those require you to be level 30 or have high reputation with some of the traders. And I understand that can be a barrier to some people, but so I'm going to try and keep everything at level 2 modules, which you can achieve at level 20. Okay, so first, we're going to talk about the Lavatory, and the Lavatory is really just going to be your all-star for crafting. It has good crafts for every situation, whether you just want fast XP, whether you want money, whether you want efficiency. The Lavatory is the best module for getting your crafting XP. Now, we're going to first talk about the boon that is the Lavatory if you want crafting XP, because it has one craft when you want XP that is just better than all the rest. There is no arguments. There is nothing that comes close to this. And that is the gas mask air filter craft. So it requires the white gas mask that you can really often find on scavs. It's a base 2-minute craft. Base 2 minutes. which means that you are getting a crafting experience in 2 minutes. Because remember, we get that 1 XP for completing a craft. Now, the gas mask on the flea market normally runs somewhere between 20 to 40k, and the air filters that you get from it are normally half the price of the masks. So this is a loss. You're going to be taking around a 50 to even a 75% loss on the purchase of the item to create what you are making. This is one of those like money be damned crafts, right? You don't lose a shitload of money, but man, is it just such a great craft because it's basically just an instant extra XP point. It's also good for grinding the skill, and the filters, they can be used in another good craft that we're going to be talking about later here in the lavatory, so it's not useless. And it's really good for grinding the skill because it can be used as your reset. We talked about how if you spam the same item, the same craft, you don't get experience anymore. But the lavatory has this craft, this 2-minute craft. So if you go to your lavatory first, collect your item. We'll say you're making, pilgrim backpacks or whatever, and you collect your backpack, you do this craft, and then go through the rest of your hideout. This will be done by the time you're done, collecting your lavatory and booze generator or whatever. And then since you've done a different craft, you can go craft whatever you just got done crafting. So if you crafted a pilgrim, craft an air mask, now you can craft a pilgrim again because it's a new craft. It's unique. You broke it up. So it's really good if you want to spam craft at the lavatory. This can help break those up, give you that extra crafting XP, while still allowing you to effectively spam craft whatever it is. So the next thing we'll talk about is, I'm going to call them active grinders. These are really good crafts to run while you are actively playing the game, because their average crafting time is around the time that it's going to take you for a single raid, and all of them normally either are break even in terms of how much it cost versus how much you make from the final product, or a lot of them will even profit. So most of these, and obviously we're excluding raids that you run in and die. Thanks, Tarkov. So first we'll be starting with the Aramid Cloth craft. This takes 1 pack of armor and generates 2 Aramid cloths and has a base craft time of 33 minutes. Packas are really easy to come by. You can find them on scavs a lot. If you are somebody who runs your own scav often, you often might spawn with one on already. They're often pretty cheap on the flea market, and even if they're not, you can find them destroyed on fence, which generally they'll be like 14k, or even if you need to buy a new one from Ragman. A new one from Ragman level 1 is like 28k or something like that. And generally the Aramids themselves will sell for anywhere between 13 to 17k, which means that you're either profiting or breaking relatively close to even on the craft depending on where you got the Paka from. And they will hold that price because they're involved with the slick armor plate barter trade from Ragman level 4. It's not the best craft, right? But it is another craft. It takes 33 minutes, which is a good break in terms of times of like getting in a raid, getting out of a raid, unloading your loot and stuff like that. That's a good amount of time so that you could easily just keep rolling this craft. The next one is the Cordura Cloth craft. This takes 4 sling backpacks and generates 1 Cordura and has a crafting time of 48 minutes. This is a craft that you can do super early and is super easy to do. It does profit no matter what. And it's just such an easy, consistent one to do because you can purchase these sling backpacks from Ragman level 1. You can start this craft at the beginning of the game, okay? The sling bags from Ragman cost like 2,500 rubles, so you're going to be spending 10k on a Cordura that will sell for anywhere from 12 to 20k depending on the moment on the flea market. So you will be making money off of the craft. And there is another Cordura craft, which is the security craft vest. It takes like 3 security vests, I think, and makes 1 Cordura. Never do that one. Just do this one. The security vests can only be found on scavs, and they're way too expensive on the flea market. And Corduras always hold their value because they're involved with 2 extremely good barter trades. Both are at Ragman level 4. One is the Blackjack backpack, which is the second biggest backpack in the game. It requires 2 Cordura and 5 bleach, and we will be talking about bleach later because we'll be crafting that as well. It's also involved with what I consider to be the best barter craft in the game, which Ragman level 4 allows you to trade for the AACPC, or the Arms Arma CPC plate carrier, which requires 3 Corduras, 1 whiskey, and 3 ripstop, and we'll be talking about ripstop as well. And so you always have something that these Cordura can be used for, whether you just want them for money or you want to save them for the barter crafts for a decent backpack and a really good armor later on as well. But that ripstop cloth, we just got done talking about it. And we just got done mentioning it. Now let's talk about it. So the ripstop cloth, it has a craft in the lavatory that requires 3 scav vests and creates 2 ripstop cloths and has a crafting time of 37 minutes. Now, scav vests, normally you're like, do I go find them off of scavs? No. We're going to be barter trading these scav vests from Jaeger level 1. He will give you a scav vest for a single Slickers bar, which is a really good trade. If you wanted to buy the Slickers off the flea market, generally they're somewhere between 5 to 10k a piece instead of the scav vests, which generally run 20 to 25k because people need them for quests. And we can also craft 7 Slicker bars at a time at our nutrition unit, which we will want to do so specifically for this purpose, but we'll talk about that later when we actually get to the nutrition unit. A couple other good crafts. This one's kind of just like if you feel like it, if you want something different, which there's the craft for the fleece, right? The fleece craft requires 4 beanies. You can buy the beanies, the green ones. They're called like UX Pros. You can buy them from Ragman level 1. They cost like 3,000 each, and it'll give you 1 fleece. Now, this normally might break even, normally is a loss, but there is a reason you might want to do that. It's because the fleece cloth is used in the next craft that I'm going to talk about, which is the aseptic bandages craft, which you can turn 1 piece of cloth into 6 bandages, and it takes 32 minutes to do so. Now, these white bandages that you find all the time, you can buy them from therapists for cheap as all get out, and they're on every single scav in the game. They're super cheap. You'll get them from scavs. You can find these no matter what, right? But this craft still works for the purposes of what we're doing here. If we want it to have an active craft that we're doing that we can reset between raids to gain some crafting XP, and these white bandages do still serve a purpose beyond just being a one-time use, stop a light bleed in the game, right? They're actually going to be used in some Medstation crafts that we'll talk about later in the guide, which is why we're including it here, because sometimes I'll be like, I don't know, I'm gonna craft some fleece and craft some bandages because I need those to make my pile of meds later, and that's why I'm including it here. It's a very cheap, very efficient option that continues to build and run the entire machine that is your hideout. Now, the next one we're going to be talking about is shampoo and bleach. But let's start with shampoo. It requires 1 bar of soap and 1 bottle of water and gives you 2 shampoo with a crafting time at base of 35 minutes. This is always a profit. Always, because shampoo has 2 incredible barters, okay? One is from therapist level 3, which is the ETG regenerative stim. That's the green stim that you've probably seen your favorite streamer use all the time when they just got shot to shit. That's the one that regenerates your entire body to full in 60 seconds. That's the stim. And that trade from therapist level 3 takes 3 shampoos. Those green stims generally run somewhere between 60 to 90k. And you can craft 2 shampoos for roughly 25k. Soaps generally are 18 to 12k-ish, and a bottle of water you can buy from therapists for 12k. So this is a super efficient craft, and if you're someone that wants to use those ETGs for yourself, you can save an immense amount of money by crafting the shampoos and doing the barter trade yourself. Otherwise, you can just sell them on the flea market. They generally sell for 15 to 25k because they are used in that ETG barter trade. They are even used in another really, really good barter trade, which is the TV-110 rig. This is a class 4 armored rig with a ton of storage in it. You can barter trade it from Ragman level 3, and it requires 2 shampoo and 4 bleach. Because it's in that trade as well, this is another really good thing that you could use if you want to throw it in your scav junk box and have something you can barter trade for armor and gear for yourself later on. This is such a good craft, and I feel like it's one that people ignore a lot. But we just mentioned the TV-110 rig needs bleach, and I believe we also mentioned earlier that the Blackjack backpack needs bleach. We can craft bleach too. Bleach requires 1 bar of soap, 1 alkali solution, and 1 pack of sodium. And this will create 5 bleach for you in a crafting time of 38 minutes. Now, in terms of how much money you will actually make off of this, it's really based on the price of the components. Soap generally stays around 8 to 10k, alkali is generally around that same mark of 10k, and then sodium's that third piece, and sometimes sodium's like 12k, and sometimes sodium's like 45k, and it kind of just depends. So if sodium's low, great profit on this. The bleach you will normally find on the flea market for anywhere between 10 to 15k, sometimes a little bit lower, just depending on like the moment in the day. So it really is dependent on the price of that sodium and whether you're hoping to break even or make a profit on this. And it's used in all those previously mentioned barter trades. It's another really great thing that you can use to just spam in between your raids when you're regularly playing Escape from Tarkov to not only benefit yourself, but also get that crafting skill up. Okay, and we talked about longer crafts, right? We're going to be touching on these now since we don't want to always be grinding. We're not always. Some of us have to go to sleep. You should go to sleep probably. And some of us have to go to work. And when we're at work and sleeping or whatever, doing our stupid adult responsibilities, right? Ew, gross. We're not able to be monitoring our hideout and monitoring our modules and stuff like that to where we can't be doing like the fast resets, like everything else that we just talked about. So most of the modules have a longer craft, and I'm going to call these overnight. So these are really good crafts to set and forget of like, all right, I'm going to go to bed. I'm going to set my long craft so that I can get that crafting XP overnight. And then, I'll wake up and I'll collect it. And if you start playing, you can start spamming the other ones, or you can set another one to run like, while you're at work or something like that. There are only two that I recommend in the lavatory. The first is the water filter craft. The water filter requires 4 gas mask air filters, 1 metal scissors, and 1 paper, and has a base crafting time of 9 hours and 53 minutes. So one nice thing about this craft is that it uses those gas mask air filters that we just talked about spamming earlier. That's that 2-minute craft that you're going to use to reset and grind your points in between, right? So it uses those, which means that we have something that we're doing with those. Now, if you factor in the price of the gas mask, this is a horrible loss. But if you're just looking at the price of the air filters, like if you want to purchase them off the flea market, generally the price of water filters is normally completely based off of and tied to the price of the components and vice versa. So if a water filter is running for 80k on the flea market, generally you'll be able to purchase all the materials for around 80k. Most of the time I'll see the air filters between 10 to 15k, the metal scissors for around 20k, and the paper between 15 to 20k. Now, we'll just say the base materials is break even, or it's, like I said, it might be a significant loss if you use that gas mask. But I do still do this craft all the time. 2 reasons. One, it's a really long craft, right? It's great. I'm going to bed. I'm going to set this water filter up. It's going to get me 10 points of crafting XP while I sleep. Awesome. And you can use the water filters. If you do get to water collector 3, to where you are generating the purified water, this goes in there, and you'll generally use around 3 water filters a day. If you're staying on top of your hideout, you're only going to be crafting 1 a day because they take almost 10 freaking hours at base, right? So it does give you something that you are still feeding that machine. You're feeding the continuous machine that is your hideout. Now, the other long craft that I will also mention is the grenade case, okay? The grenade takes 2 metal fuel cans, a pair of metal scissors, 5 screw nuts, 5 bolts, and 1 wrench, and has a base crafting time of 16 hours and 40 minutes. This is really great because it uses your empty metal fuel cans from your generator. I see a lot of people just like sell them to therapists for like 8K or whatever they go for, which if that's your gig, fine. But I like to try and be efficient with my materials and the stuff that I've used and found. This is a really good use for that. You can find bolts and nuts really easily by just checking technical supply crates and toolboxes. And it's such a long craft. This is a really good craft where you're like, I need to go to bed. And when I go to bed, I got to wake up and go to work. And I will not have the energy, the time, or the attention to be able to reset my hideout between waking up and before I need to leave for work. This will take long enough that you can set it when you go to bed, and it should be getting home about the time you get home from work. Now, is it a profit? No. It is never a profit. It'll break even sometimes, mostly depending on the price of bolts. Bolts sometimes can be like 30 to 40K, and sometimes they're 20K, and you need freaking 5 of them. So, I mean, if they're 40K, you're spending 200K in bolts. The grenade case will not sell for more than it sells to vendor, which you can sell to therapists for 321K, and you've already spent 200K in that in bolts. Add another 50, 60K in nuts, 20K for the metal scissors, 10K for the wrench, and then your empty fuel cans, which you put your price on there. You're not making money off the grenade case, but you're not really losing money either. Generally, it always around break even, and it is a really good craft for just those long overnights when you need to do to get your XP up for the crafting skill. Now, there's 2 others that I'm going to just quickly touch on, but I'm not going to break them down, and that's the magazine case and the scav junk box, okay? And You can do these. I do not recommend them. Neither of them are very long. They generally maybe break even, but often are crafted at a loss. The blue fuel cans that you need for the magazine case, and then the magazine cases that craft into the scav junk boxes, generally the base components for these are just worth way more than the actual cases, and the other two crafts we just talked about are generally just better, cheaper, more efficient, more effective options than doing either of these. If you did want to craft either of these cases for personal use, you could go ahead and do that, but I would not recommend putting these into your rotation to gain and grind your crafting XP. Now, there's lots of other crafts that are in the lavatory. Like, I know there's a few backpacks you can craft. Like, I know you can craft the Pilgrim. I know you can craft the Raid backpack, like Paracord. There's like a random helmet you can craft and like some armor or something like that. If I didn't talk about it, it's probably not worth mentioning. Either it's a horrible loss, it's not very efficient, it's a waste of materials. If I didn't talk about it, just don't worry about it. Now, if you feel I'm wrong on that, feel free to correct me. Drop your thoughts down in the comments below. So next, let's talk about the Workbench, okay? This is going to be probably your largest profit maker if you are looking for money. The Workbench is going to be where we're going to be crafting a lot of the ammunition, well, all of the ammunition, and that's going to be where you're going to find the largest amounts of profit, as well as the components for the ammunition that can be crafted here. Now, we're going to start again with the grindy ones in terms of like, these are really good ones to do between raids to reset that are still like either break even or have either a small or decent profit that you can just do while you are actively playing. And then we'll get to the overnights later on as well. Now, none of the other modules past the lavatory have something like that gas mask air filter. There isn't a 1-minute craft at the Workbench that you can use to reset the module so that you get crafting XP again. We don't have anything like that here, so there won't be any for any of the other modules either, unfortunately. The Medstation has one that's like close, but it's not the same. So let's just start getting into this. First, printed circuit boards. There are 2 crafts that give printed circuit boards, and both of them give 2. One requires a gas analyzer and a screwdriver. This is the one with the red handle, and that takes 48 minutes. The other one requires a DVD drive and a flat screwdriver, which is the black handle, and that takes 33 minutes. These are almost always a relatively even craft. There's a few decent things that you can do with the printed circuit boards. They do have a barter trade from Peacekeeper level 3 to get 60 round 5.56 magazines. It is the Stanag mags and not the power mags, the drum mags, but it is 60 rounders, which are good if you like to run M4s, HKs, MDRs, so on and so forth, and they're also used in the graphics card craft. None of this is great. None of this is a reason that I'm like, oh, you need to be crafting fucking circuit boards, but it is decent, right? And it is something that you could do. Now, the next one, the magnet. The magnet craft requires a single damaged hard drive and is a 43-minute base craft. This is often profitable. You can normally get the damaged hard drive anywhere between 7 to 10k, and the magnets normally will sell around 16k. This is a small profit, right? But it is profit. So, I mean, if you're looking for something that you're like, I don't like taking losses, well, here you go. This is something that's not a loss on. And it is used in 2 Medstation crafts, both the portable defibrillator and the LEDX, and we will be talking about both of those when we get to the Medstation. Now, the gunpowders. The gunpowders are the ones that you will probably be spamming the most. And we're going to talk about all 3 of them, okay? First is gunpowder kite, or the blue gunpowder. You need 70 rounds of 5.45 PS ammunition, and it takes 1 hour and 29 minutes at base to craft. The blue gunpowder is used in a lot of ammunition crafts that we're going to be discussing later on, but that said, this is not worth crafting unless you just feel like it. It takes a little bit too long at 1.5 hours, and the blue gunpowder, you'll probably find a lot of them. They're pretty common out in your raids, and they're normally super cheap on the flea market. Like, they're normally anywhere from 8k to 14k. And with you will make a profit if you do use the PS ammo. You can buy the PS ammo from Prapper, I think, for like 5k. So you will see a profit off of these, but it's just not the level of efficiency that we want when we're looking at trying to do crafting efficiently, especially when, even if we bought these off the flea market, the things that we will use them for even with the flea market cost factored in, will still be a significant profit while having better efficiency somewhere else in the module. So next, let's touch on Gunpowder Eagle, or green gunpowder. This requires 2 M67 hand grenades and 1 smoke grenade at a base craft time of 1 hour and 39 minutes. This is one of the best crafts in the game, with an asterisk. Do not do this craft until you can buy the grenades from Peacekeeper. You can buy the grenades from Peacekeeper level 2, but only after you have completed his task, Spa Tour Part 2. That's the quest where you need to place a marker on the helicopter out front of the resort, as well as the little road that leads up to it. After you complete that quest, you're able to purchase these hand grenades, right? And this craft easily has the largest profit margin in the game after you've completed the quest, because you'll be able to purchase the 3 grenades you need for a total of like 12k. I think the 2 grenades from Peacekeeper, they're dollars, but I think it converts into like 9k for the 2 of them, and then, or maybe it's 19k, and then the smoke grenade from Prapper costs like 4k. So you're spending, we'll just say 20k, 25k. And the green gunpowder generally sells anywhere between 40 to 60k, because it is generally the rarest of the gunpowders in terms of being able to craft it, and craft it efficiently, as well as which crafts it is used in. This is such a great craft. It's used in a lot of the ammunitions, and I recommend actually saving these if you're wanting to grind your crafting XP, because you're going to be using these in a lot of those overnight ammunition crafts. The last gunpowder is Gunpowder Hawk, or red gunpowder. This requires 1 blue powder, 1 green powder, and a pack of matches, and it gives you 2 red gunpowders, and it has a craft time of 36 minutes. This is a really great craft. This is really good craft time. It's the amount of time we want, because it's right around that 30-minute mark of I got into a raid, I did the raid, I got out, and my craft is done, so it's good for that reset. It's really good efficiency too, because the blue powder, we said, we'll just say it's 10k, we'll say the green powder is 50k, so we're at 60, matches generally around 10k, 70k, and the red powders generally are around 35 to 40k. So it's normally a really small profit, maybe you'll break even, but it's used in a lot of those ammunition crafts. And so, and you don't lose out on much. So really, what I expect you to be spamming the most when you are grinding your crafting XP and actively playing is some combination of the green powders and either magnets or circuit boards. But probably just spamming powders. Like I would recommend bouncing between greens and reds. Once you get some reds, start loading up on greens. If you have too many reds for the day or whatever, craft greens and bounce over to magnets so that you'll be ready for your Medstation later. Now, when we're looking at overnights, this is probably the main module that we will be looking at, like what can you do at module level 2 and what will you be doing at module level 3. We will talk about the ones that you can craft at module level 2 first, that you can do at level 20, because level 3 is going to require mechanic level 3. You're going to need to get to level 30, and who knows what other modules you need to have upgraded before you can build Workbench level 3, right? So there's 2 good crafts on Workbench level 2. One is 762x54R SNB. This requires 1 pack of red gunpowder, and it makes 80 rounds, and it takes about 6.5 hours to craft. Now, this isn't a perfect craft for the purposes of overnights, because 6.5 hours is, it's not your recommended amount of sleep. So if you're somebody that wants to get a decent amount of sleep, it won't fit that time frame. It's not perfect, but it is something that is available at Workbench level 2, and it does render a decent profit. That 1 red gunpowder, somewhere between 35 to 40k ish, and then the SNB rounds generally will sell for 1,000 a round ish, maybe around 900. So you can see you'll be spending around 35 to 40k to make 70 to 80k back. The SNB rounds are also really good sniper rounds if you're putting them through something like a Mosin or an SV98, or if you're using an SVDS. The other craft at level 2 Workbench is 9x19 Parabellum AP 6.3. Now, it requires 400 rounds of 9x19 PST GZH, as well as 2 red powders, and it'll craft you 200 rounds of AP 6.3 in a base time of 6 hours and 42 minutes. Now, again, this is not perfect, but this is an easy and early available craft that is very useful and profitable. Those AP 6.3 rounds generally sell for a pretty decent amount, anywhere between 750 to 1k per round. And you can buy the 400 rounds of 9x19 PST GZH from both Mechanic and Prapor. I think Mechanic 70 rubles a piece, and then Prapor I think it's 68 or 69 rubles a piece. And then you got your 2 red powders, which we just talked about making them. 1 craft of the red gunpowders gives you the red powders you need to craft this ammunition. You're looking at a really good profit margin on it, and it does give you something that you can do overnight. Those are the only 2 really good ammunitions that we can craft at level 2 Workbench. So I recommend doing those if you're trying to get an early start on your crafting XP. But if you do get to level 30 and get to Workbench level 3, you do have some more options available to you. The biggest one of which is 7.62 by 39 BP. So this takes 2 green gunpowders and 1 blue gunpowder and will craft 200 rounds, okay? It has a base crafting time of 8 hours and 35 minutes. This is also incredibly profitable, right? Massively profitable. The MK47 mutant got added in this latest white patch, whatever you want to call it. And even now, 2.5 months, 3 months into the white, everyone's still running this thing because it's a really good gun. And with the nerf to the availability of meta ammunition at this point, 7.62 by 39 BP is a really, really good ammunition to be using. And when you're looking at spending anywhere, we'll say 70 to maybe even up to 90, 100K for the craft, this ammunition generally still sells for 100K a bullet, not 100K a bullet, 1K a bullet. So you're looking at 200K in bullets for what could have been only like 50 to 100K in investment of resources. The 8.5 hours is a really good overnight craft in terms of like setting your crafts, getting to bed, waking up, you know, maybe getting a cup of coffee, making breakfast, whatever it is, and being able to come here and not miss out on too much time. And you can even just use the bullets yourself. You want to put them in an SKS. These bullets are really good and will punch through armor really effectively. Now, this only uses green and blue gunpowder, though. Doesn't use reds. We were wanting to craft reds earlier because it's such a well-timed craft. What are we doing with all these reds? The best craft for your reds is 7.62 by 51 M61s. This takes 6 red gunpowders and 3 helixes and only crafts 100 rounds. It takes 8 hours and 60 minutes at base. Now, this might seem bad, all right? You're like, man, I'm going to be burning 6 red powders and 3 other things that I either need to buy or find, and I only get 100 bullets. It does seem bad initially, but M61 is one of the best rounds in the game, and generally these rounds sell in the flea market for 3,000 rubles a piece. So these 100 bullets you can make 300,000 rubles on. Now, depending on the price of those reds, though, that's not much of a profit, because if we say reds are 40K each, you're using 6 of them, 240K. Helixes are 10K each, that's 30, 270K for 300K sales. You're not making a lot of money off of these in terms of what you used versus what you got. Now, if you craft all the way up to this, you won't notice the loss because you will have been still playing the game. You'll be using less money on those base materials to craft up the reds. You will have to find or purchase the helixes. And it does give you something to do with the reds to where you are breaking even or making a profit. Now, there are 2 other ammunitions that we're going to talk about, which is 9x39 SPP. This is what's going to go into your AS Val as well as your VSS. It takes 150 9x21 BT rounds, 1 blue powder, and 1 multi-tool. It's a 10-hour and 30-minute base craft, and I find this craft to be really underrated, okay? SPP is one of the best bullets for that caliber. Now, there's only the 2 guns that use it, but they're both really good guns. You can buy the 9x21 BT bullets from Prapor, and he'll sell you like 200 at a time, so you can always have this craft available to you. A blue powder is really cheap, and the multi-tool you can buy from Mechanic. The bullets, I didn't actually write down the number you get. I believe you get 200 rounds of it, and the bullets will still sell for like 1,000 rubles a piece. And then you are only spending, I think it's like 35K for the bullets from Prapor, 10K for the blue powder, and 25K for the multi-tool. Huge profit on this. Huge profit, and it's a great overnight craft. Now, if you're not somebody who uses the VSS or the Val, this just like the bullets might not be useful to you, but if you're looking for a good overnight to get your crafting XP, or you want some extra money, great craft. And the last one that I'm going to touch on is 545 PBBS, or otherwise known as Igolnik for your 545 AKs. It takes 2 blue powders, 2 green powders, and 2 red powders, and it builds you 180 rounds, okay? Now, this craft takes 11 hours and 26 minutes. It's one of the longest crafts in the Workbench, and it's really good for that purpose. It generally will break even, but you're using so much powder on rounds that aren't worth as much as some of, like, it's like they're not even, it's debated now whether they're even the best round within 545. It's like, do I want to use a Goldnick with its pen but low damage, or get a little more damage out of just using base BS but just, might not punch through Class 6 armor as well? So it's kind of up in the air. If you're somebody that likes running 545 AKs a lot and you want to save a little bit of money and still be able to work on your crafting XP, it's something you could consider, but I personally never do this craft and just use the last three that I mentioned. Next, let's talk about the Intelligence Center. Now, there is no fast craft at the Intelligence Center. None. Zero. Everything on this takes forever. But they do have good crafts for quests, and otherwise there's some that are like decent, and some that you can make a little bit of money here. It's just good efficiency there, but they are all super long, so just keep that as a heads up. I'm only going to be talking about 3, and I'll kind of mention on 1. The first is at level 2 Intelligence Center is your VPX flash storage modules. It takes 3 sticks of RAM, 2 SSDs, and 3 broken G phones, and it'll craft you 2 VPXs. It has a base craft time of 65 hours and 30 minutes, and it does generate a decent amount of profit. This is a decent craft to target if you haven't gotten Intelligence Center level 3 yet, because you will need level 3 for the cycle that we're going to be mentioning in just a moment. And the VPXs generally will sell pretty well. They're needed for the graphics card craft as well as like a quest and a couple other things, so they generally always hold their value. Shit, they sell to the vendors for like a little over 100k, so it's not a bad craft. The most expensive things in here is the SSDs. You're going to be looking at 40 to 50k for each of the SSDs, so 100k there, 10 to 20k for each of the 3G phones. We'll just round up, so we're at 160k, and then 10k ish for each of the RAM. So we're looking at 200k for items that we will generally sell for around 150k each. So you're spending 200k to make 300k while maintaining that active craft in your Intelligence Center to still be grinding that crafting XP. Now, the next one is a really good craft, but it's even better if you have level 3 Intelligence Center, which is the Secure Flash Drive craft. This requires 1 G phone, 1 G phone X, and 1 SSD, and it gives you 3 flash drives, and it has a craft time of 34 hours and 13 minutes. So G phone, you're looking at 10 to 20k, G phone X, you're looking at 20 to 30k, and the SSD, you're looking at around 50k. So it's a 100k craft. If you sold the flash drive straight onto the flea market, they generally sell between 50 to 60k, so you're spending about 100k to be able to sell them out for 150-ish, maybe 180k total. So it's always going to be a profit, at least at the current prices. Flash drives are really useful. Some people need them for other crafts, for quests, stuff like that. And so it's something that it's really reliable. Now, this craft gets a lot better, both when you get your crafting skill up, because like we talked about, as you get your crafting skill up, it lowers the craft time. So this 34 hours and 13 minutes gets down to like a day. So if you just started at, you're like, oh, I normally sit down at 6 p.m. to play Tarkov. Oh, my flash drives are done. Cool. And when you get to that point with our next craft as well, you can just bounce between this craft and the next one back and forth each day, and it's fucking great. And let's just go ahead and go straight into the next craft, which you do unfortunately need level 3 Intelligence Center for, which I understand is a very big barrier. But with how limited the crafts are in the Intelligence Center, we just have to go this direction, which is the Folder with Intelligence craft. The Folder with Intelligence craft takes 3 flash drives and 1 pack of paper. So we just got done talking about the 3 flash drives that you craft. That craft generates 3 flash drives. So all you now need is a pack of paper. And this craft takes 31 hours and 40 minutes, which again, when you reduce that down, it generally becomes like a day once you get to like mid-level crafting XP. This is the great bounce. You craft your flash drives, you buy a pack of paper, you craft a folder with intelligence. Then you craft some flash drives, you craft a folder with intelligence. You just bounce between these two. Now, the flash drives, even if we say you bought them off the flea market, 60K each, 180K. You bought a pack of paper for 20K, 200K. These folders with intelligence generally sell between 250 and 400K. Kind of just depends. Like, you need them for some upgrade stuff here and there. They're used in the scav case, so their price fluctuates a lot, but right now I've been seeing them for around 300K. Great profit also. And it also just gives this module something to do to bounce back and forth between. It's really good profit. If you want to use it in your scav case because you like using a folder with intelligence in your scav case, it will generate those for you at a pretty decent price margin, so you're not having to constantly buy them off the flea market. So it is good for that purpose, and it keeps your crafting XP up. I didn't write any notes for this next one because I just wanted to touch on it, and that's the graphics card craft. The graphics card craft, it takes like 8 CPUs, 8 printed circuit boards, a couple of VPX modules, a ratchet wrench, and a partridge in a pear tree. And it's not a good craft. It's a good long craft. It takes like 110 freaking hours, but it's not very profitable because generally the price of the components, especially the VPX modules and the ratchet wrench and stuff, are pretty heavily tied to whatever the current price of graphics cards is. And it's just not worth it compared to being able to bounce back and forth between the rest of the crafts that we just talked about. If you find yourself with the materials to do it and you want to, you totally can. Or if you need that extra graphics card for like farming part 4, totally go for it. But I do not recommend weaving graphics card crafts into your crafting rotation for the Intelligence Center module at all. All right, next, Medstation. Now, just as a note, we have left the land of profit. There's 2 modules left, which is the Medstation and the nutrition unit. And we will do our best to make even on these. There's no money to be made here, but you can break even, you can craft some things that you can use, and you can get your crafting XP up so that you can actually make some benefit out of the Lavatory, Medstation, Intelligence Center. All right, so we're going to start at the bottom, all right? So we have the AI2 med kit. Some people call this the cheese, right? This requires 1 pile of meds, makes 3 AI2s. It's a 22-minute craft. This is the shortest craft that's at the med station. I think at my current level of like level 32 crafting, it takes like 13 minutes. So this is the closest that you get to that gas mask craft. If you're somebody that takes a long time to reset in between raids, this could be something that you might use to like reset your crafting if you wanted. And it generally breaks even in terms of value. Pile of meds generally are somewhere between 10 to 12K. Cheese generally is around like 4 or 5K. You're not making money on this, but we are going to be using cheeses in our next craft. Everything else now we're in level 2 Medstation 4, which this is one of the crafts that I spam the most, which is pile of meds. It requires 1 cheese, which we just talked about, 1 aseptic bandage, which is the white one, which we talked about back in the lavatory that you use fleece to craft, and 1 augmentin, and it generates 3 piles of meds and takes 48 minutes at base. So here's where those bandages come from. This craft is generally relatively even. The only thing that really ever fluctuates in price is the augmentin, and it kind of just depends. I've purchased augmentin off the flea market for like 12K, and then I've had to buy it from therapists for like 32K because that was the cheapest option. So it really just kind of depends, but it's such a good craft, and you use the pile of meds in basically every other relevant craft within the med station, right? So it's a really good thing to just weave in. It's got that nice sweet time that you'll be able to reset it in between your raids. You'll have to craft something else in between your raids, otherwise you're not getting crafting XP. But it's just a good baseline craft. This is your bread and butter with some cheese thrown in, right? So we're going to be spamming this all of the time in between any of our other crafts because you can use them. It's always at least breaking even, sometimes even a profit. But now, what else can we make? We're going to be looking at what is going to be close to like the best profit you could hope for out of the med station, which is the mule stimulant, or MULE. It's the kind of olive colored one. It's the one that you use, and now you're suddenly able to carry the entire raid's shit out, right? Now, this requires 1 Zagustin, 1 morphin, 2 max energy drinks, and 2 piles of meds. It has a base crafting time of 1 hour and 32 minutes. And gives you 1 stimulant. Now, generally, this will be a marginal profit. It kind of just depends on the price of everything on the flea market. Because the morphine, you can craft it here in the med station, Do not do it. It's an awful craft. It's shit-ass terrible. Never craft morphine unless you need Fountain Raid ones for a quest. Otherwise, just buy them off the flea market. Morphines are almost always 10 to 12k because you can find them freaking everywhere. Anywhere that a med spawn is can have morphine. They're everywhere. So morphine, cheap, carry them out, save them for your crafts. The max energy drinks generally are also cheap, but we'll also be crafting them, and we'll talk about that when we get to the nutrition unit, and then the pile of meds we just talked about as the craft that we want to spam the most. This leaves the Zagustin. This is the purple injector. The price of Zagustin mostly seems to fluctuate with the price of mules on the flea market. I've seen mules as low as like 60k, and at that time Zagustins were like 10 to 12k, and then I've seen mules up to like upwards of like 90 to 100k, and Zagustins were sitting at around 30k, to the point that I was buying them off of Therapist because Therapist was just the cheapest one at like 28k. So we're looking at like really pile of meds 10k each, energy drinks 10k each, morphine 10k, so we got 50k there, and then whatever the price of Zagustin is. So if Zagustin's 10k, you're spending 60k. If you're able to sell the mule for 70k, cool, you've made 10k. If Zagustins are 30k, well shit, that cost us 80k in materials. Oh, we can sell them for 90k, we made 10k. It's not a huge profit, but you will not find huge profits in the Medstation module. It's the best you got. And also, if you're somebody that likes to carry a mule on you in case you get, super fat. Oh man, I killed a dude in the couch backpack. I got 6 armors and 8 guns and 400 bullets on me. You're going to want a mule to actually be able to carry that out. But there's some other things that we can craft, right? IFAKs. These are the small little like camouflage med packs. They got 300 durability, right? They require 2 piles of meds, 2 army bandages, and 1 S-March. And this will give you 2 IFAKs at a base crafting time of 50 minutes. This is another thing that you can use your piles of meds for, because if you're like, I normally will just flat bounce between the mule and the pile of meds back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. Maybe weaving in a cheese if I'm out of cheeses. But otherwise, I get 3 piles of meds and only use 2 of them on the mules. So every time I do that cycle, I'm gaining an extra pile of meds. What do I do with them? Well, if I break off and do like an IFAK, that's going to use 2 of the pile of meds. I still haven't actually burnt any extras yet. But I mean, I use meds. We go into raids, we get shot, right? And so, like, IFAKs are pretty decent. They only take up 1 square, and they're not good for stopping heavy bleeds. Bring a hemostat with you. But otherwise, they're pretty good. They're pretty efficient. I would recommend doing the IFAK craft over the Salua craft. You get 2 IFAKs. You're going to be healing a total of 600 HP with this versus the Salua that only heals for 400. You could potentially stretch that over 2 raids instead of the Salua, which you might lose in 1. It does use more of the materials that we've been talking about here, whereas the Salua doesn't use any pile of meds. This is just a useful craft. It now generally crafts at a relatively even price point. It's not great, but nothing else in here is. Now, our next 3 crafts are all level 3 Medstation. Now, you can get Medstation level 3 a little bit earlier, but I'm just putting that out there, making sure you understand these next 3 are all Medstation level 3. The first one is Propadol. It requires ibuprofen, a golden star, and 2 piles of meds, and makes 7 Propitols at a crafting time of 1 hour and 55 minutes. Do not buy the materials for this craft. Do not buy the materials for the purpose of doing this craft, because that ibuprofen is going to be 60k. That golden star bomb is going to be 100 to 150k. So you're looking at 200 to 250k to craft 7 Propadols that at best sell for 20k each. You're looking at 140k in Propadols, okay? You only do this craft if you are already using those pain meds during your raids. So if you got a golden star in your container, and you're like, cool, using it. It doesn't matter how many uses it has left for the craft. It can have 1 use left. So if you use your golden star from 10 down to 1, you get out of the raid and go, oh, set that used up golden star aside, and then grab a pack of ibuprofen, and then use ibuprofen for your next several raids until you have like 1 or 2 uses left in the ibuprofen. Instead of just using them up entirely, you can now use them to craft Propadols, which a lot of us will grab Propadol. It's a painkiller. It's a regenerative stimulant, heals you, lets you run. And so it's just something, it's efficiency. This is not profit, but it is a good use of your materials and your meds if you have been planning ahead to do them for this purpose. Next is the closest thing you're going to get to an overnight craft, which is the portable defibrillator. It takes 2 magnets, 3 wires, 4 caps, and 1 power bank. It has a crafting time of 5 hours and 15 minutes. Now, we crafted the magnets earlier in the Workbench. The wires you can also craft in the Workbench. We didn't touch on them because they're not a very good or very profitable craft. You can craft caps in the Workbench. Again, not good timing or profit either, so we didn't talk about them. And then the power bank you will either need to purchase or find for yourself. This craft generally always breaks even. The power bank is generally around 30 to 50K. The magnets are around 15K, so we'll just say 80K. And then the 7 other materials are about 10K each. So we're looking at 140 to 150K each. The portable defibrillators almost always sell for vendor price, which is around 140K. So you're either breaking even or a slight loss. But if you're looking for something that can give you just a little bit of extra crafting XP overnight, this is what you got, okay? This is what you're doing. This is the best you got for getting that crafting XP when you are not actively monitoring the Medstation. I will touch on just a moment the LEDX, okay? Medstation level 3 does allow you to craft a LEDX. It is horrible. Never do it. The only reason ever to do the LEDX craft is if you need 1 found and raid edit LEDX for your private clinic task that therapist gives you at level 35 to get your thick items case. That is an acceptable reason to do this craft, but otherwise this craft is horrible. It's good for crafting time. It's like a 40-hour craft, but you will legitimately be spending 3 times the price of a LEDX to craft a LEDX. It needs like RFID readers, 3 portable defibs, a couple of ophthalmoscopes, and a hope and a prayer from John Badcock in order to craft one, okay? And it's just not worth it. It's a horrible loss. It's not worth it even for the crafting XP. Just do the portable defibs when you're going to bed for the night, okay? All right, the last major module that we're going to be talking about is the nutrition unit. Now, just as a note, everything in the nutrition unit is a loss. All of it. There is nothing that even like kind of breaks even. It's all a loss. It all sucks. Now, that said, there are some that are better or closer to even, or at least serve a purpose for us. There are 3 crafts that we can talk about in the nutrition unit, okay? If I don't mention it, don't mention it. Okay, so the first one and one of the biggest ones is the max energy drinks. It takes 1 Tarcola, 1 Magica coffee, and 1 bottle of water, and it crafts you 4 energy drinks. It crafts you 4 energy drinks. I don't know why I put a 3 here, but it crafts you 4. It takes 1 hour and 48 minutes. This is probably your most even craft. Generally, the Tarcola is about 10K. The water you can buy from therapists for 12K. And so we're at 22. And the coffee sits somewhere between like 12 to 20K. It kind of just depends. You get 4 energy drinks that are generally worth 8 to 10K each. So you're really close to even. Now, the energy drinks are also just so insanely useful. So 1, they're used in the mule craft that we talked about in the Medstation, right? You're going to be using 2 of them per mule. Boom. You got your materials here for that craft. We're all keeping that engine going, right? The big massive engine that is the hideout. Also, energy drinks are probably one of the best provisions in the game. They provide, I think it's like 20 hydration and 10 energy. If you grab like 2 or 3 of them and take them into a raid with you, this is going to get you through even a really, really long raid. And they're great for grinding both metabolism and immunity. And the reason for that, they give you both a small penalty to stress resistance as well as a benefit to like mag drills or something like that. It's like +1 and -1 to each of those. And the plus and benefit only, the benefit and detriment only lasts for 5 minutes, but that also means that gives you a perfect 5-minute timer for when you need to drink one to reset and gain more of your metabolism skill and your immunity skill. It's just such a universally versatile provision, item, and craft that I spam this craft as much as I can because I use these all the time. I don't bring any other food into raid anymore. I just bring 2 or 3 energy drinks. I'm like, I'm good. And I'm getting skill XP for other skills. And it's used in my mule craft. It's such a great craft. It doesn't profit, but it's just wildly useful. Now, Slickers Bar. Slickers Bar takes 1 Alionka, 1 box of oat flakes, and 1 pack of crackers. And it'll craft you 7 Slickers in a base time of 1 hour and 12 minutes. This is normally a relatively even craft. The crackers are going to run you 12 to 15k. The oak flakes will be 10k, so 25. And the chocolate's actually going to be based, the price of it is going to be based off our next craft, right? The chocolate will be anywhere between 15 to 40k. That's a wildly spread of numbers. The slickers generally you're going to only sell for 7 to 10k at most. But, okay? Normally we're somewhere around even on the craft in terms of like materials versus what you could sell the final product for. But we mentioned earlier, way back when in this video in the lavatory, about the craft for ripstop. Ripstop's great. You know, we want ripstop for those awesome barter trades that we talked about. You can trade one slickers bar for one scav vest to craft that ripstop. That's what we do this craft for. If it wasn't for that barter trade, we would not do this craft ever. But we will do this craft so we can barter trade for scav vest, so we can craft ripstop, because otherwise we'd only be bouncing between the max energy drinks and our next craft, which is a pack of sugar. Now, a pack of sugar, it takes 2 Alianka chocolate bars to craft and has a base crafting time of 1 hour and 23 minutes. This craft is basically always a loss. Basically always. Like, no matter what, you will be spending just a little bit more on the chocolate than the sugars. Why? I don't know, but you do. I don't know why that's the way this works out, but that's just the way it always works out. You would think, like all the other ones we talked about, that it would either be like almost even, or like maybe you make a little bit of profit since you're spending the time to craft it. Nah, I guess people just know that this is what you're going to be doing, and they're just going to charge you extra for the chocolate, right? But it is a good craft. Generally, if sugar is 70k, you'll be paying 35 to 40k for each chocolate, and you'll have a loss of 5 to 10k, right? It's not great, but it is another craft that fits in because the nutrition unit has nothing else of relevance, and you can use the sugar, right? If you get your hideout built up and you have the booze generator, you can use the sugar to make moonshine. So it does have a purpose. It has a use. It fits into that massive machine, and it's something to keep this module active, that you can bounce between like the max energy drinks and the pack of sugar, so that you keep resetting crafts so that you are still gaining that crafting XP. It's not great. There's nothing else in this module. There's only one craft that is anything close to an overnight, and it's the hot rod craft, but it's going to be using purified water, and you only get one of those for every like 5 hours out of your water collector, and it uses a bunch of other stuff. I don't recommend it in the slightest. There's like a craft for like Wilson cigarettes, which is decent because there's a barter trade from Mechanic for like a built out M1A, but again, it's just not worth it, especially really, if you're doing everything that we talked about up to this point, spamming the mule craft and running your booze generator, bouncing between the max energy drinks and the sugar, you'll just keep using them. You won't build up an extra supply of these materials. You'll just use them. And especially if you're taking the max energy drinks into raid and using the packs of sugar in your booze generator, you will not generate a surplus. This just feeds the machine. Nutrition unit, feed. Funny. All right. Anyway, so yeah, that's all we got for the nutrition unit. It's not great. It needs some TLC, Nikita, my man, please. And I will touch ever so briefly on the booze generator. It doesn't give you anything. It crafts moonshine, and that's it. It doesn't provide crafting XP. It's not, you know, I'm actually somewhat curious. I wonder if the very first time you craft moonshine, if it gives you crafting XP, and then after that, because you're spamming the same craft because you only have one option, if that's why it doesn't give you XP anymore. I would need to find someone who has not crafted a moonshine yet and see if it works or not. But either way, after that, it doesn't do anything. Okay, so this is everything. This is the whole hideout. The profit from the hideout is ultimately pretty limited, but it can be found, especially when you're working with either the workbench or the lavatory. The other modules are not great, but they feed you, they feed your needs, they feed your machine, you know, like it just all kind of works together. Now, like I said at the beginning of the video, whether crafting and crafting XP and the skill is something that you want to pursue or not is completely up to you. This is not something that has some wild benefit, right? It's not like hitting elite endurance or elite strength or anything like that to where you can now run across the entire map without stopping and leap over entire fences and walls, right? It's like, I mean, I can craft stuff faster. I can craft more stuff. Cool. That's all it does. But getting that XP, if you're not like essentially following this guide, and if you found something better or more efficient or anything, by all means, let me know. Put it down in the comments below. But if you are somebody who likes to see progress and build upon yourself and find more progression, this is what you got. The crafting in Escape from Tarkov leaves a lot to be desired. There's a lot of quality of life improvements that could still be made. There's still more things that I would like to be able to craft, but this is what we got for the time being. And I mean, it works. It's nice. You can find a lot of things that do benefit you in terms of like funding yourself, in terms of like getting your own armor, your own ammunition, your own meds, your own food. Like the hideout can provide all of those things when you include barter trades. It can provide all of those things. And it just gives you something to do with your hideout, and it ultimately will save you money, gives you stuff to do with the stuff you find. It's decent. I'm not going to say it's great. I'm not going to tell you that this is something you should be doing or have to do, but it's something that ultimately will help you in the end if you do it. You will see and notice the benefit of having the higher crafting skill and rolling on these crafts, because you will have so much accessible to you. The only thing this doesn't do for you, the only thing that you don't get out of this is a gun. Everything else is covered. We talked about a barter trade for a backpack. We talked about a barter trade for a really good armor. We talked about meds. We talked about money. We talked about food. Like, it covers everything. It even covers the bullets for the gun. It just doesn't cover the gun itself. You'll have to, you know, buy and build that yourself. But if you were looking for, man, I feel like I'm not getting my crafting skill up and I'd like to see it go up, just because I want to see the number go up, because I want to craft things a bit faster. How do I make that go up faster? Boom, here you go. Welcome to how to make that go up. I say welcome and we're at the end of the video, but you know, it is what it is, whatever. So that's what you got. If you got something that you think could be improved upon or something better, I would absolutely love, let me know. Put it down in the comments below. We can pin that and make sure that we are trying to be as accurate and efficient and profitable as possible for everybody in terms of what you're wanting to do with your hideout. Now, I do stream Escape from Tarkov. I normally stream Escape from Tarkov on Tuesdays. You're more than welcome to join me. Although I do stream 4 days a week, I'm a hyper variety streamer. We stream on Tuesdays, Thursdays, Fridays, and Sundays, and I'd love to see you there. I'm always happy to talk about whatever, even if we're not playing Tarkov. We can absolutely talk about Tarkov. I love Tarkov a lot. That's why I've spent all this time making this video, and I hope you found it useful. Whether you did or didn't, I would greatly appreciate if you leave your thoughts down in the comments below. If you want to come play Tarkov with me or need some other people to play Tarkov with, we do have a Discord server. I'm in there pretty often playing Tarkov because this game has consumed a lot of my life, because good lord, is it really good. It's not perfect, it's got its problems, but I cannot deny just what a unique and enjoyable experience Tarkov is. So go check that out. You can also catch up with me on Twitter. There's links to everything that I mentioned down in the comments below. There's lots of other videos on this channel, including Escape from Tarkov videos, guides for other skills, and I'm continuously working on more Tarkov videos right now. So if that's something you're interested in, hit that subscribe button, turn on the bell for notifications so you are notified when that next video goes live. But if you do watch one of those other YouTube videos, or if I see you in the live stream, thank you and enjoy.